Hi, I'd like to share an excerpt with you from my book, Alethea's Dreams. This one comes from a story called Deal. Enter modern-day suburbia. Every step would unavoidably cause the whole house to creak. The walls above the doorways were cracking from stress. The door frames themselves no longer held their original geometry. In one spot, the ceiling was so fractured that it was beginning to split in two. The whole house was threatened by an unstable foundation. Every structure, in order to be sound, needs to be set on a solid foundation. It is early morning. The windows are still coated with condensation from the previous night's moisture. An unread newspaper rests near the edge of the driveway. A man disembarks from his front door wearing only his worn and faded light blue bathrobe to go and fetch it. He comes back inside, pours himself a cup of coffee, and puts a bagel in the toaster for his breakfast. He then sits at the table, sipping his coffee and skimming through the paper until he hears the ding of the toaster, at which point he stands up. While making his way from the dining room to the kitchen, his phone begins to ring. The call was coming from a number the man does not recognize. He answers it regardless. Hello? The voice on the other side of the line began speaking immediately. Hi, this is Samuel with Amazing Foundation and Flooring. I'm just calling to confirm an appointment I have with you this morning at 9 a.m., he said, using his most official-sounding salesman voice. This was something the man desperately needed. He replied, "Oh yes, well, as I recall, I do have an appointment with you, but it's not until tomorrow." Words typed and printed have their limits. They miss some of the fundamentals necessary for full communication. The written word inherently lacks the fullness of tone and nonverbal cues. For this reason, one must work extra hard in order to imagine the man's overwhelmingly grumpy tone. That same tone which eludes the text itself holds the coloration of the smugness which rolled out of his mouth with each and every syllable. It was so blunt, so abrupt, so self-righteous, that it is near impossible to tell if the attitude behind the surface of the words was intentional, or if it was a natural but unhappy accident of the man's personality. Samuel was caught off guard. He rushed to keep his composure. "Hang on, let me check the calendar." A few moments of silence later, Samuel came back on the line. "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I had the dates mixed up. Not a problem. I can come tomorrow morning to give you an estimate." The man walked away from the conversation thinking nothing but negative thoughts. He shuffled around his house, cursing the salesman for not being organized with dates. He held on to that anger all day and through the night, though it would be incorrect to assume that it actually had anything at all to do with the salesman. With the setting of the sun and the rise of a new dawn, it continued. Despite the opportunity to start fresh, that same overwhelming negativity was ushered into the following morning, as it was every day. That morning, he walked around his house, the floor creaking beneath his feet as he mumbled nearly indecipherable things, half to himself and half to no one.